Boom, boom, boom. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special segment of the House of Nerd. I'm here today with the big homie Markle, and we're talking the New Think trade paperback, volume 1 of New Think, out December the 14th, folks. And actually, the FOC, Monday, November 14th. There you see the diamond code. Again, New Think out from AWA. You know, we love AWA over here at the House of Nerd. Always dropping heat, man. One of the better indie publishers in the game. One of the better publishers, period. So I'm gonna hit you guys with a brief synopsis of what New Think is. It's a Black Mirror-esque and anthology style book examining the rapid proliferation, of technology, the cultural and political polarization of the country, and the technocrats that have driven us to such extremes of thought that we need to present the present as something futuristic. So 5 standalone stories, folks, and all written by Gregg Hurwitz. We've got different creative teams for each of the books here. Again, the FOC is this Monday, November the 14th, folks. Check it out, man. You know, pre-order this bad boy. It's a good one. So we're gonna like, you know, touch on each one of the issues briefly. Let you guys know what it's about, man. What you can expect. But before we get into that, Mark, and I know you're a big fan of AWA. You've been checking out the New Think stuff, man. You know, kind of general. What did you think about this series, man?
Hey, well, yeah, like you said, Sergio, man, I've been digging, AWA. That kind of goes back because let me tell you what drew me to AWA. Let's start with that right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, Axel was the Axel. I think it was Axel Alonso. I
Mm-hmm.
know he's one of those editors you just know because I knew him when he was at Marvel. I knew him was
Oh,
at
yeah.
Marvel. I think like a lot of the best stories that came out during that time period of Marvel that he had a hand in crafting, and I think he was the one who may have recruited J. Michael Straczynski to Amazing Spider-Man when they were both over at Marvel. So I heard
Oh,
somewhere
okay.
that he left and that he was going to start this new company and stuff like that, which became AWA, which stands for Artists, Writers, Artists. I think is what it stands for. And
Mm-hmm.
that I kept seeing solids like, hey, I'm gonna do a big project with J. Michael Straczynski over there. So when I saw Axel Alonso, knowing his resume, and I saw he was doing something with J. Michael Straczynski, that made me automatically, hey, I got to put this on my pull list, which I
That's it.
did. So
The interest was peaked,
it was
to
it
say
was
the
big.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same, when I started reading Resistance Universe, I started seeing all these other spin-off books. Like Knighted was one. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
introduced me to Craig Hurwitz. And I liked his work so much on Knighted, that's what made me go to New Think as well. I mean, the
Oh,
premise was
okay.
good, but I said, wait a minute, this the
Okay.
guy that wrote Knighted. Okay,
Yeah.
he was good on Knighted. Let me try this right here with that kind of Black Mirror premise. And to be
Oh,
honest, full disclosure, I hadn't even watched Black Mirror's on my list of things to watch, but I'm a big
okay.
Twilight Zone person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Outer Limits was probably one of my favorite shows. I probably watch more
Mm-hmm.
Outer Limits than I have Twilight Zone. Always looking for those kind of sci-fi horror message shows. Like I think what was I watching on Netflix? Love, Death, and Rockets. That kind of falls to that thing in that area, that space. Well, let's talk about a sci-fi kind of horror premise, and then let's have an underlying message as well.
So actually, we got some screeners here for you folks there. So New Think Volume 1, again, out December the 14th, FOC November the 14th. Make sure to pre-order. The first story is called The Screens. This one was pretty straightforward. A cautionary tale of sorts on the overuse, over reliance, abuse, and obsession with technology. Specifically our attachments to phones. So the writer Gregg Hurwitz presents this in an interesting way. The screens, like the aliens, they come almost like an invasion, you know
Yep.
they come and they take over Earth slowly but surely, and until we're slaves to them, you know. So basically, yeah, alien invasion story, but it's not aliens. It's the screens that we're attached to, whether it's our phones or
Right.
our tablets or our TVs, computers, so on and so forth. So pretty straightforward. I had a this was, to be honest, probably my favorite of
I can
the
see that.
of the five tales. What did you think on this one, Markham?
Man, I think, this story was exactly what I wanted it to be. This was I like, oh man, this is
Hmm.
exactly what I want.
Hmm.
And it is straightforward, but that doesn't mean it's not good. And you got
Hmm.
Mike Deodato doing the art. I'm a big fan of his back when he was
Hmm.
doing Hulk years ago, and the covers and stuff along. When I see anything I see Mike Deodato doing some work, I want to jump on it. So,
For sure.
it was great. And what's so good about this, Sergio, is that this could actually be happening. I mean, think about how our culture is really, there's a screen addiction in our culture. And
Hmm.
this issue perfectly illustrates how this could really be happening. It could be aliens have taken us over. We won't know because everybody's addicted to their screens. Even how when they say, "Hey, you're gonna relax and not, use the screens," and we still use the screens.
Yeah, but the scary part though is it is happening. Like, a lot of these sci-fi stories, they so I said, like, almost it's like a cautionary tale, but actually that's wrong, man. It's not a cautionary because we're living it right
Right.
now, in my opinion. We're there already. It's more so he's just kind of putting the mirror in front of us and showing, uh where we're at, which a lot of these stories in you think, for me, they tend to, they kind of, like just kind of snap in the face, like woke me up, and like, a reminder, like, hey, like, this is, not so much science fiction, but like science now, like, so this one was fun. Yeah, just our obsessions with our phones, and it was on the nose, but it did it, it
Yeah,
did what it
but
needed.
that didn't mean it was wrong. That didn't mean it was
Hmm.
enjoyable. But
Hmm.
it
For
was what
sure.
I was looking for in New Thing. I was like, okay. This is what I was looking for.
Yeah. So that was a great start to it. So, and again, the artist on this one was Mike Deodato, who's been just killing it at AWA, excuse me, doing a lot of great stuff. Colored by Loughridge and lettered by Underworld Design. The second story in this 5-issue TPB, again written by Gregg Hurwitz. The artist on this one is Ramon Rosanas, colorist Lee Loughridge again, and lettered by World Design. And all of these dope covers are by the cover artist goes by the name of Razzah, which have been really cool, really fun stuff. Issue number 2 is told entirely through the narration style, so there's no dialogue on this one, much like issue number 1. And this one is presented as a fairy tale, very much so in the art style and the way that it's narrated. You've got this young woman who is like, this storyteller.
Right.
She loves telling stories. She's going around the town. She's famous for what she does. And then I guess the king in this village, I guess she told a story that may have made fun of the king, or something he didn't like about it. So he decided to outlaw storytelling. Um, Puts her and her family in a glass house as punishment for everybody to see and point the finger at. So this one, not as on the nose, I would say, as the previous issue, but it's touching. For me, I took it as touching on censorship, excuse me, freedom of speech. you know Everybody has the right of freedom of speech, until you don't, until you say something not nice about me, or something I don't like.
And
Then,
it's that part right there, because
you know
And I agree with you, sir. Just like I said, because like I said, I got these all single issues. So I was like, okay. So I
Hmm.
was riding high off of issue one, and I got this one. I was like, I don't like this one as much, but me going back rereading the trade, I
Hmm.
liked it more. I was like, okay.
Hmm.
Then I finally got it. Oh, this is about cancel culture. When you cancel somebody for saying the wrong thing, I'm like, that's what this is about. So that's the great thing about having it coming back out in trades. I read it in single issue. I'm like, it's okay. I reread it in trade, like, oh, okay, I get what it's about now.
Hmm.
You know?
Marklin, I'll say this. For me, this particular issue number 2 was probably the one that was the most open to interpretation. Isn't
And I agree with you. I mean, and
right?
that's a testament to
Mhm.
the creative team on this, the fact that, you
Mhm.
know, it is open to interpretation. You may not like it the first go around, but you can go back and read it and get a different interpretation of it, or talk to
Mhm.
somebody and see what they got from it. So I mean, that's a win all the way around. So what I thought may have been the weakest story may actually be one of the strongest because it's so intriguing that way that you can engage
Mhm.
in it. Which is nowhere to pick up the trade. Right.
Yeah.
And the art reminds me. I guess the art and thing reminds me of Fables. From Bill Willingham and Mark Buckingham. And I
Mhm.
was like, and I was like, okay, I got this Fables vibe, which is serendipitous because Fables is back now. But
Mhm.
I mean, but if you're a fan of books like Fables, I think you would enjoy this book as well.
For sure, I would agree with that. Issue number 3. Oh, I love this cover here. This Marilyn Monroe, again, cover artist is Razzah on this one. Straight up, this one was my favorite cover of the New Think joints. This one is titled Red of Beak and Claw. Again, written by Gregg Hurwitz, illustrated this time by Keron Grant. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. It's comparing social media almost to a vampire, right? Just sucking everything out of us, and then just having this insatiable appetite for our attention, and kind of just not releasing its grasp on us, man. It's just give me your attention. I want you in every single way, and touching on the false idols of like these social media personalities, things like that. I thought this one was great. I enjoyed the watercolor art style on this
Hmm.
one. What are your thoughts on this one,
You know
Michael?
what? And I agree, and it did make me think. I was okay. So this time we're focusing on social media, and I like the fact that we're starting to find out more about these celebrities because on the cover you have Marilyn Monroe, but Marilyn Monroe, which we're finding out more and more, had a very very troubled life. But it's
Mm,
this image of Marilyn Monroe. She's beautiful, she's famous, she's rich and stuff like that, but she had a very troubled life. And I like how the implications of this story are like, hey, people paint a certain picture on social media but doesn't necessarily reflect their real life. And people are striving to get this image. Either they can't, it's almost like they can't control their real life, but they're trying to get this image on social media.
ooh, ooh, I like that. I like that. And you know what? I didn't catch that myself, but I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. That's good, man, for sure. For sure. Hey man, then this is why Michael is one half of the Tolkien's, man. Hey, these guys read, man. But yeah, that was great, man. What did you think of the art on this one? Did it fit the
Yeah,
tone, the style?
yeah,
A
because
little bit
like I
more
said,
abstract, I would say.
it was abstract, but it fit
Hmm.
the story too, because the
Hmm.
story has, it almost has a dream like quantity. Like I said, this story reminded me of something out of the Sandman universe of all things, because because it has that ethereal kind of quality and stuff like that, where you don't
Okay.
quite know what's going on, but you're kind of floating from one thing to the next thing. And
Hmm.
this was a pleasant surprise for New Think as well, because I thought Deodato was going to be doing the art for every issue. It
Hmm.
turns out he wasn't. It was a rotating team artist.
Hmm.
So not only did you get a different kind of story every issue, but you got different artists as well. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think again, Kieran Grant was the artist on this one. There was a line, there was a line in here. So I mentioned that a lot of this was our over reliance or obsession with social media, our fear of maybe what happens if we're not active or if we're not always there. What's real, what's not. And there was a line in here that says, "If no one's watching, does it really matter?
Right.
Are you even real?" You
Yeah.
know.
I mean, and it does make you, question the nature of reality, because it opens your mind all these theories you may have heard, like, oh, we're all just living in a hologram, we're
yeah,
somebody's hologram, you
yeah.
know, and I've seen kind of titles like that before. I think Black Science kind of referenced that as well,
Mhm.
years ago, like, hey, we're going into the Imagiverse, or, the Eververse and stuff like that, where anything that can happen, or popular culture shows like Rick and Morty, and like, well, when you can go to any dimension, nothing you actually do matters because everything you can do has been done, you know.
Mm. Hey man, this one's gonna get you thinking. Like I said, each one of these issues, this one in particular, I think for me, it's just like, okay, like I need to chill with like being on the social media and being on my phone, and so again,
Or
another
or
bit
just
of a
letting it
wake up
control
call
so
for me.
much of your life, because people want to look a certain way, and especially, we have this culture now, where people think, oh, if I'm verified and I have this many followers, or the pictures look this way, then it's real, but that's not real at all.
Yeah.
And and that's what I think. People want to feel, it weirds me out, but even people sometimes looking at other people's posts doesn't make people feel, they feel bad because they look at everybody else's post. Oh, she's successful and she looks this way and she has this many followers and she's doing this trip and that trip, but that's not what it was about. It was about it's designed to connect people. When you
Mm-hmm.
see somebody have to wish people happy birthday, when you see them graduate or their kids graduate, or,
Mm-hmm.
they get married, that's what it's designed for. And it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of been turned into something else.
Yep,
You know,
for sure. It's turned into an ugly machine, ugly beast. That's for sure. The next one, folks, issue number 4 in this, and this one is titled Nowtopia. Written again, Gregg Hurwitz, artist Mike Choi on this one. This one was fun. Pretty very straightforward. Told from the perspective of prehistoric human, and they're talking about the marvels of the future, which is our now, our present, right? From there, so these prehistoric humans, they're talking about everything from medicine to education to entertainment. Um, so uh, about 90% of the story was, pretty like straightforward, just kind of again putting the mirror in front of us and saying, hey, like we have all this great stuff, right? We're living in this marvelous time, but at the end kind of hits us with, we still find a way to
to
always look
mess
at
it
the differences.
to mess it up. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
to mess it. Yes, really. Yeah, that's to put it
That's what
simply.
it
Yeah,
comes
to
down
mess it
to.
up and to be complaining and to be fighting each other.
I
And
mean, I enjoyed this. I mean, this is like I said, New Think is back up top. This was my favorite
Mhm,
issue, for a
mhm,
long time to the last issue came out.
mhm,
But I had to kind of do some thinking. But this is about perspective, and I had to kind of
mhm,
understand that, despite all our current problems, they're trying to say humanity has made tremendous progress because it's like, hey, this is what we started off at, and this
mhm,
is where we were. So,
mhm,
if our ancestors to look at, by the sense of our ancestors, we live in heaven today.
mhm,
The fact that we don't worry about the same, we don't worry about surviving. I mean, the world is still a can be still be a messed up place, but we don't worry about our survival day to day like
mhm.
they had to worry about. Like, if I
Yeah,
don't kill some today, I'm not gonna eat. If I don't get some shelter, I'm not gonna survive. And we have all this thing. We're a more educated population. We can learn anything. We can go anywhere. We can do anything, and yet
yeah.
we still find a way to mess it up.
It's something even like, hey, we got the luxury of like water bottles. Like we're not having
Right.
find a source. So just for me again, just kind of made me appreciate things, and specifically with this next one here. So you think the last issue is titled "A Children's Story." Read very much like you're in a classroom, and the teacher is explaining kind of how this political divide came to be in the states, starting with the different personality traits that we've got, like openness, neuroticism, conscientiousness, agreeableness, extroversion, and then kind of all going to the full gamut to wealth distribution, among the 1%, and the fear hate industrial complex, right? So it's kind of trying to break it down, how we got to be where we're at. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
So
I agree with you.
I almost feel like you probably might take this stuff a little bit. You being an American, and really like just the political climate down there. How did you take this one yourself, bud?
This, and I was talking to you before we started filming. I said, man, I actually had missed this issue. I was maybe a week or two late reading this issue, so I read
Mhm,
it this week. So it must have come out last week or the week before. And I was like, man, I need to add a section of my pool kings about things I went back and reread or things I missed. This
mhm,
definitely to the top of my list because it's a good story, and it starts from the teacher talking to the kids, and I have an undergrad degree in psychology, so the fact they're talking about openism, neuroticism, conscientiousness, agreeableness, extroversion, that's right up my wheelbarrow right there. And it's
mhm.
like, it's from the mouth of babes that she's teaching the kids, and the kids like, we'll never end up like this. We'll never end up like this. And then but the parents are there in the background hearing her teach this stuff to the kids and their comments. And
Yeah.
as an American man, you never know what's going to happen every day around here. The teacher's telling the kids what the kids do. The kids like, we'll never let this corrupt us. We'll never let this happen. And their parents in the
Mhm,
background looking
mhm.
like, this teacher right here. And it's
Yeah.
good how it captures because if you talk to conservative people, you may be too liberal. You talk to the liberal people, you may be too conservative. But you
Yeah.
got to find that middle ground. That's what this issue is about. You
Right.
have to find the middle ground because everybody has certain traits, and you have to find a way to make those traits work together and balance each other out instead of working against each other.
Then at the end is those far extremes that are really kind of leading this, fighting each other and you know, yeah, man, find that middle ground, man. Despite our differences, we're not all that different, man. So overall, yeah, this great. I think it lived up to because you got it in the description of your book, Black Mirror esque anthology. That's a lot to live up to, man. Black
Right.
Mirror is a fantastic series. So I definitely think this lived up to the description. Had a lot of fun with this one. Again, this one is on FOC November the 14th. There you see the diamond code at the bottom of your screen and coming out December the 14th, folks. And we also wanted to remind you guys that the Resistance Universe, the Origins trade paperback is dropping December 14th as well. The FOC is also Monday, November the 14th, and there you see the FOC code. This one is huge, a massive TPB. We're talking 368 pages, folks, man. It's a big boy. It's a big boy. It's collecting, I believe, all of the Resistance Volume 1, Erratic Volume 1, and then parts or all of the Resistance Reborns, the Resistance Uprising, Moss, Knighted, the Joneses, Erratic Volume 2. So it's a whole lot of story in this one. And Marklin, you're a little bit more familiar with the
Yeah, man.
Resistance universe. What's going on with this, man? What's
Man,
AWA doing?
man, like I said, like I said in the video, that's what sold me. J.
Mhm,
Romano Straczynski doing the Resistance Universe, and I got exactly what I wanted, man. Because like I said, he did Rising Stars, which was so great. It was Rising Stars like that, but I'm gonna tell you, it hits so hard when you're reading in real time because the book is about, Resistance is about a pandemic that basically hits the world
mhm.
and it kills like 400 million people, and the people who survive, and then all of a sudden the virus just turns itself off one day. But then you find out that some of the people who survive have powers. And it
Okay.
and it's really dope on how it deals because Straczynski, you know, he just kind of like, well, hey, if the government knew people had powers, there are certain steps that the government would take to identify those people who have powers. And if people have powers, there's certain things they would do. Some of them will try and get rich and famous off of it. Some of them will become criminals and just do what they want with it. And some of them would just kind of, try and help people. He kind of breaks it
Mhm.
down to different territories and stuff like that. It also shows like how one person kind of comes to power, it's almost kind of apocalyptic. I'm not gonna call the guy like an antichrist like character, but he's kind of like, oh, I'm a big time billionaire and I know how to solve the problems and you guys need to elect me. Democrats can't do it, the Republicans do it, but you need to elect me and he wins. and immediately said, "This guy's the villain of the story." He starts
Okay.
doing some Lex Luthor type stuff, and then
Okay. Hey, and
which
that's
starts
so
the
that
resistance.
seems
Yeah,
that seems appropriate because this is AWA's shared universe, folks. Again, we mentioned a whole bunch of books: Moss, Snyder, the Joneses, Erratic. Mark, now, did you have a particular one of those volumes that did you have a favorite or
man. I
uh
mean, it's hard for me to narrow. It's hard for me
yeah,
to narrow down because resistance
yeah.
itself is good.
Hmm.
The Joneses is great.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Those are the first two that pop in my mind because it was the
Okay.
superhero aspect of it.
Yeah.
Resistance is a little bit more complicated. I would say read resistance stuff first because that's
Hmm.
that's the main book. So I would say if I had to recommend anybody, I would say read the resistance stuff by J. Michael Straczynski first, and then I would say then you can kind of jump around because like I did, that's how, I was reading stuff as it came out, individual single issues. I started resistance,
Hmm.
then I saw Night coming out. I checked that out. Then I saw the Joneses coming out. I read that. I read New Think. I missed Moss when it originally came out, so I would buy this just to get, to read the Moss story. And
Okay.
then I missed Erratic too, so that's something else that's included here that I missed because it just came out. I could never find it, which I guess is a testament to how well their books are selling. So,
Yeah.
and this is perfect for the holiday time. If you're looking for a new universe or series to jump out, I'd highly recommend this, man. This is a good jumping on point.
Beautiful. Yeah, and you can't go. I think it's like the is retailing for like $20. You're getting like damn near 400 pages of shared universe from AWA. So folks, you can't go wrong, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to pick up a physical copy of that one, man. All the AWA heads. Finally, they got it's all nice and nice collected in a nice little package, man. Not so little
Yeah,
though.
I mean, and
300
AWA has been they've been putting in work, man. I mean, I think
Mhm.
AWA started around what 2018, 2019, but I think the books start coming out. The books I started reading around pandemic time. It was like serendipitous. I'm like, man, I'm
Mhm.
reading a book about a pandemic that's killing millions of people, and it's like March 2020, and it's this pandemic that's locked everything out.
Look how that worked out, the timing, eh?
Yep, that's how it worked out.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah, man. Again, we're big fans of AWA. They're constantly putting out dope content, and then this is just their shared universe stuff that we're talking about, and then obviously new thing. But they got a whole other whack of books, man. Definitely check them out on all the socials, website, all that good stuff, man. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Hey, Marklin, thanks for coming through with this one. Finally, I was happy. I said, "Hey, man, I'm doing a review of one half of the Pole Kings, man. You and Charles doing big things. For those who don't know, Marklin, Dragon Ranger. Every Monday, you guys are dropping. You guys are taking turns dropping your top 3 new comic book day pulls, man. Man, we got to collab on something else, and
Man,
lots to review out there, man. Lots of dope content.
I mean, just let me know, man. Like I said, I'm reading and stuff like that, constantly. I'm trying to find new things. I mean, and the good thing about House of Nerds, the show is it puts me on the stuff I hadn't seen, because my current store here in Birmingham is Sanctum Tattoos and Comics, so they have a kind of a indie wall. But since
Hmm.
I've been following you guys, I've started to read more of those books. Like perfect example, I think Specs came out this week. And or
Okay,
like,
that's
and I
info.
think you guys talked about specs, and that's what made me
Yeah,
do it. I'm like, all right, they talked about specs. Let me check it out. And that's the beauty of
yeah.
this hobby because you read stuff you ordinarily would not have read. That's why I like to talk about it and see what other people are getting. We
I
ain't trying to
love to
stun
hear
on
it, man.
nobody. We want to see what everybody's getting. That's it.
Love to hear it, and I love watching what you guys are picking up, man. Lots of heat, folks. Check them out, and let us know what you thought about this review, man. Are you gonna be picking up New Thing? Are you gonna be picking up the Resistance Origins TPB? If you're digging what we're doing, hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go check out the Pole Kings videos, all that. Marklin, I say we just wrapped it up, eh? We're out of here, buddy.
Out of here, buddy.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you.